I hate to say it like this, but Tage Thompson of the Buffalo Sabres has got to wake up. Now, I know it doesn't really seem appropriate for somebody like me to say that. You know, the Montreal Canadiens are my second favorite team. They're the only team that I actually care about that's still in the playoffs, which, if we're being real, I cared about two teams this playoff season. Edmonton, because I had them winning my bracket, and Montreal, because they're the Canadiens. My second favorite team after the Canucks, after all. And Vancouver is not really in a great place right now, so yeah, it doesn't really sound great when you hear me speak up about how Tage Thompson of the Buffalo Sabres needs to be better. But I think the entire conversation about Buffalo and Tage Thompson in particular is so intriguing to dive into post Game 2 in the Montreal versus Buffalo series, because not only was Tage Thompson directly responsible for the Alex Carrier third period goal, you could say that he was inadvertently responsible, indirectly responsible for, let's say, 3 or 4 goals against throughout the course of the series. I mean, this is their top-tier superstar, right? In a good year, where everything goes right, you would expect Tage Thompson to be able to score 40 goals. That should be an achievable target because he's done it before. He did it this season. He did it last season. He did it 3 seasons ago. He almost had 50 3 seasons ago with 94 points in 78 games. Tage Thompson, for the most part, is a productive player. And even throughout the course of the playoffs, he had 7 points in 8 games so far. But guess what? He's got 0 points against the Canadiens. Now, I know, Canadiens fans, you have the right to call me out in the comment section of this video. Lego, what are you doing? Because you said that, because you made this video, Tage Thompson's gonna score a hat trick next game. Just you wait and see. And I'll just go out there and say that my pull with the hockey gods isn't really that strong. So I feel a little bit of immunity to go out there and say whatever it is that I want to say and feel comfortable knowing that it's not really going to have an effect on the future. That's just my luck, eh? I mean, I had Edmonton over Boston in the Stanley Cup Finals. Look at how that turned out. All the teams in my Final Four, except Colorado, are out. I had Pittsburgh losing to Boston in the 3rd round. Anyways, I suck at predicting this stuff, right? But Tage Thompson, he's got 0 points in 2 games against the Canadiens. He is a -5. He is technically the most important Buffalo Sabres forward. And sentiment across the board is that he needs to wake up. Fans are ruthless against Tage Thompson right now. If you go over to the R Sabres subreddit, take a look at some of these comments over here. Tage needs to wake up. He's directly responsible for 4 goals against over the last 2 games. I ain't arguing with that. He was a mess. A mess is kind. A disaster, I believe, were his words. Another reply said, "Hey, that was a rough one. First game in a while that I actually turned off. Tage, what the hell, man?" Then you had posts made on the R Sabres subreddit, like this one, made by Exact Package 7264. Tage Thompson does not belong on the first line or the power play. Darren Pang was borderline upset about how dumb Thompson's shot selection was on the power play. Justifiably so. The problem is, Tage is so dumb that I can't tell if he's being selfish by shooting in those kinds of situations, or that he genuinely thinks he can score on those terrible shots. Man, that's quite interesting. I get that fans of a team that lost a playoff game will have their critiques, and they will be harsh towards the players that they cheer for. But the volume of the Tage Thompson criticism is quite remarkable. Pookie LF said, "At the very worst, if Tage isn't on the ice tonight, it's a 2-1 loss. The Montreal Canadiens scored 3 goals directly off his turnovers. If Dahlin decides to hustle, it's a 1-1 game. If you're supposedly a top 3 guy on the team, you can't actively be killing us. It's the little things. I think both those boys are tired from all the hockey they've played this year. Another reply says that they think being in the Olympics was taking a toll for Tage Thompson. And you know what my response to that is? It's, hey, wait a minute, Cole Caulfield wasn't at the Olympics. He's doing pretty poorly as well. Okay, that's a low blow. Sorry. Caulfield had chances. He was getting fed by Slavkovsky and he hit the post, so there's still room. There's still time for Cole to get back out there and do his thing. For Tage, I'd say the desperation, especially amongst the fan base, is reaching a pretty big high note. Thompson fumbled it with an empty net. That's the cherry on top of a pile of crap game that he ended up playing. Almost like the most poetic way for a superstar's disappointing night to end. It's also funny too, like, when you think about the Buffalo Sabres so far, it's a 1-1 series, and all the stuff that I'm seeing from Sabres fans on social media, it's all negativity tossed towards Tage Thompson, and there isn't really much going to other players. There's a little bit on Tuck, there's a little bit on the first line, but ultimately, Tage is getting the biggest amount of heat, and rightfully so when you consider the disparity between the value that they bring to the team and the actual on-ice product that they deliver. Tage has not been good, but then again, it's a 1-1 series. It's now a best 3 out of 5. So that's all we gotta go off of, right? Win 3, you advance. Which team is gonna get it done? The Montreal Canadiens, yes, they were able to secure a victory after not having won 2 games in a row against Tampa. But think about it. The Montreal Canadiens never lost 2 games in a row against Tampa either, and that pattern has continued so far throughout the course of this second round. Montreal has been win-lose, 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 win, then they won the series, then they lost Game 1, and now they've won Game 2. So if the Canadiens' pattern continues, then they will inevitably lose Game 7 in Buffalo, and the Sabres will advance, but obviously that is something that Marty St. Louis is going to have to want to shake up from his team. Just go out there and give more amazing pregame speeches, why don't ya? But with all that said, if you're a Montreal Canadiens fan, I want you to let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. How do you feel about Tage Thompson? Last series, we spoke about guys like Brandon Hagel, for example, and how well he was doing. Now, it's Tage time, and all the conversation is about how he's totally crapping the bed and how Sabres fans are pissed off to heck. Seems like he had a pretty alright first series, but now, against Montreal, things have not been going his way. An Olympian, a guy who played some extra games, now for the first time in a Buffalo sweater, he's part of the playoff race. This is uncharted territory in terms of the workload he is used to on his body. And I want you to let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. How do you think this is going to continue throughout the course of the series? Also, just in case, knock on wood, this guy doesn't go out there and score a hat trick in Game 3 to open things up at the Bell Center in Round 2. Thoughts in the comment section below about Tage Thompson and the way he is played. I hope you enjoyed this video. Sign on, and bye.